to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, conceal carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Eccles.
It is Wednesday morning, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho, and we are covered up in snow. I kind of got done with my main job, my day job, a little early today. Thought I'd come in here and finish this up. I've got something that I would like to start doing as much as I can, anyhow. But I've got a list of interviews and stuff I'd like to do, and I would like to start getting out a show on Wednesdays, kind of midweek. I don't know if that's going to happen every week. It might take a little bit to kind of, get the content to get it up and rolling, but that's going to be my plan. It probably won't be as long as an episode as we normally do on the weekends, but I figured you, the listener, you guys need more content, you need more shows, and I'm going to do my best to oblige. So this is a interview that I have with local Idaho State Rep Chad Christensen, and it's about a bill that he has introduced, that he has spearheaded. He calls it the School Carry Bill, and it's if it passes, what it would do is it would allow those who have their Idaho Enhanced Concealed Carry permits, it would allow them to be able to carry in Idaho public schools, K through 12. And it's a pretty neat bill, and I kind of hope we need to get behind him and give it a lot of support. I will go ahead and I'm going to play the interview. It was pre-recorded. I'm going to play the interview now. Now, do know that he is a busy guy, and it was kind of hard to track down. We've been kind of going, trying to do this interview for about 3 weeks, and he had to do it while he was driving back up to Boise after he left his family on Sunday afternoon. So he's doing it while he's driving, and he made the responsible choice, and he's obviously using a hands-free device. So it's a little fuzzy, a little hard to hear, but I think if you listen carefully, you can make out what he has to say. A lot of good information, and so I will play it for you. And I'm sure this is something that we'll be discussing on a future episode with me and the guys here, coming up in the next few weekends. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it gets you through your work week. Here it is.
Okay. Yeah, this is Chad Christensen, State Representative, District 32, and that encompasses, it's a pretty big district. It's the third biggest in the state. So it covers part of Bonneville County where I live, all of Teton County, all of Caribou, which is Soda Springs, all of Bear Lake, which has Montpelier, all of Franklin, which has Preston, and Oneida County, which is Malad area, and yeah, so big district. I won the primary last May, of course, and then I had the guy I beat decided to be a write-in candidate in the general election, and I decided to beat him again. So,
there you go.
Interesting.
So you're working on this. You're working on this new. I don't know what is the bill got a number, or what are you guys calling it?
I call it the School Carry Bill.
Okay.
It doesn't have a bill number yet. What happened is I got it ready for a pre-hearing, and then I kept waiting for the AG's opinion, which doesn't always, I take it with a grain of salt. I don't always. They have some good advice once in a while, but sometimes they just want to kill a bill they don't like. So I'm kind of expecting. I was kind of expecting them to put holes in it on purpose.
Right.
So, but it did come back and have some valid points. But I already put in for a pre-hearing because I was tired of waiting for them. And then they came back after I put in for a pre-hearing, and they said, well, under the constitutionally, you shouldn't, this bill could make it so that private schools, well, first of all, explain the School Carry Bill before I get into that.
Sure.
The School Carry Bill will allow anyone with an enhanced concealed weapons permit to carry in a public school. It has to be an enhanced permit. The enhanced permit requires you to go through a day of class instruction, show the instructor that you can operate a firearm safely and you fire on the range. So that's pretty much, yeah, that's, Utah's had this law in effect for 10 years. So basically that's it. You have an enhanced permit, you can go into a school, a parent, a teacher, a principal, a custodian that has an enhanced permit can carry in a school.
Right. So we haven't seen blood in the streets in Utah, so that I highly doubt we're going to see it here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if we had a big chaotic situation in Utah where teachers killed students, we wouldn't be here, right?
Right, exactly.
I put in for a pre-hearing because I was tired of waiting for the chairman, Steve Harris, of the State Affairs Committee, had me, get some. He had to make sure I had support first. He wanted to make sure I had an AG's opinion. It kind of makes you jump some hoops to get your bill into State Affairs, which is fine. So I got tired of waiting for the AG's opinion, and they kept saying, "Oh, next 2 days we'll get it to you." Next 2, finally I just said, "Okay, I'm done. I'm going to submit the bill for a pre-hearing."
Right.
And of course, when I submit it, the AG's opinion comes in, and they made a point that this law could make it so we're forcing people to allow carry on private schools. And I didn't want that. I believe in private property rights. If someone wants to,
right,
put a sign out front, no firearms allowed in this private school, then that's their right to do so.
Sure, I
don't
agree.
Want to, right. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to force any private schools. But I told the AG, hey, on the flip side of that, we are violating the Constitution right now, then, because we're saying that right now we don't allow guns to be in private schools. So I'm going to fix that too, then, because that shouldn't be the case. And also, it contradicts each other in code. There's another part in code 33-303 or something where it says we cannot restrict private property owners from having anybody carry on their property.
Mm-hmm.
So those two statutes, contradict each other. One says we can't allow private schools to have firearms. The other one says we can't restrict it, which happens all the time in Idaho code, I guess. There's always these contradictions like that.
Oh yeah, more than we'd like.
So, right. So I struck that out there so private schools can decide themselves if they want it or not to be restricted. So it's up to them to allow it or not. But if it goes through, and we allow private schools to decide for themselves.
Okay, so if this goes through, the schools can allow if they actually want. The private schools can allow if they want that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
They can allow if they want. If they don't want it, they have the right to say no.
Sure, gotcha.
And all public schools don't have that luxury. If it's a public school, charter school is also public. If the school board doesn't like it, or the school district doesn't like it, well, that's too bad.
Right.
This law would bypass that permission from the school board or the school district, and that teacher could carry if they wanted to or not.
Right. And I think this. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think this is the way to go. You hear a lot of people talking about, possibly making incentives for teachers to carry, and I'm like, that I think incentives for teachers to carry is the wrong way to do this, because you're going to force someone or possibly encourage someone who doesn't want to carry, who's not going to go out and seek the correct training, but they're going to go and they're going to carry anyway because they want a little bit bigger paycheck or what. I think that's the wrong way to look at it.
Absolutely. I've had a lot of people approach me and say, I don't want all teachers carrying, and this doesn't force any teacher to carry. It gives them the luxury to decide for themselves.
Sure.
And there's also a provision in there that says schools can discipline or retaliate or create adverse work conditions for the teacher if they find out they're carrying.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they said leave them alone. If they're carrying,
them.
Right. What something I am doing is I'm going to promote I'm going to call the sheriffs in the state and police chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, there's quite a few cities in the state, but all the sheriffs, I'm going to ask them, hey, we provide quarterly training with these teachers, go over scenarios, go over safety situations. I don't want these teachers being cops by any means, but, just teach them to, stay back in classrooms and keep their kids safe.
Mm-hmm.
If someone comes in the room ready to kill, then you need to, the biggest training is deciding to pull that weapon and fire. So,
yeah.
So I think, that law enforcement training with those teachers, to help them decide when to pull and shoot is the biggest training factor that we can help these teachers with.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean that, and just being safe with it, knowing how to safely carry it in a decent holster, and keep it, just keeping hold of it,
Right.
Like you said. And I too feel that I don't feel like the teachers should go out and be the cops, be the police. They shouldn't go hunt down a shooter. Their job is to protect
Right.
the students, and if you allow them to have a firearm, then they can, bunker down with the students in the classroom or the closet or whatever. But if the fight comes to
Right.
them, then they can defend the students. And I think that's the way it should be for
Right.
not just teachers, for anyone really who is going to conceal carry. I mean, I tell everyone it's not my, I believe in this 100%. I mean, it's what I do. It's my business. And I always tell everyone, it's like, my job isn't to go out there and try and be a hero. If I've got the opportunity and everything works out just well, and so be it, that's what's going to happen. But my job is to protect me, my friend, my family, whoever is with me. And if the fight comes to me, that's when I'll take it up.
Right. Definitely.
What kind? I mean, have you heard from other teachers at all? I mean, has anyone like in the educate? I mean, what kind of support are they getting? Are they looking forward to it? They encouraging you, or are they scared?
It's mixed. I got a lot of my district's pretty rural, and for the most part, yeah. I mean, except for Teton County, which is more medical based. A lot of transplants to California, East Coast, around Teton County, but
Sure.
But the rest of my district, yeah, they're small town Idaho, and they're all for it. And, in fact, all of them already carry, through the school board's permission. So, it's already going on.
Right.
But it's allowed. The Idaho Association of School Boards, made a statement in the news that they probably wouldn't support it, which I kind of expected. I think these bigger institutions and bigger school districts aren't going to support it.
Right. I got the article in front of me. It said they're worried it could lead to school districts' insurance premiums increasing.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I've got the article, or one of the articles in front of me, and it says on here, they said it could lead to they're afraid it could lead to the school district's insurance premiums increasing.
Oh, right. And someone did address that. I'm also going to put this provision in the bill. When we made, there is a reference to liability when people carry their firearms in their cars in the parking lot or the school property, which is allowed. So Representative Judy Boyle recommended I put some of the same terms from the parking lot in this statute that releases the school from liability.
Good idea.
Right.
It's a great idea. What people need to understand is, and we've all heard the statement over and over and over again. We are the first responders. The teachers are the first responders. Law enforcement will get there, and I'm not dissing law enforcement. They'll get there, but there's that old saying, when seconds matter, law enforcement could be minutes away. I know I've gone out and done active shooter training and stuff. There's a little. I'm over here in Buell, Idaho, and there's a school out in Three Creek, Idaho, one-room schoolhouse way out in the middle of nowhere, out in Noailles County. I've gone out there and done active shooter classes out there, and then anyone that was ranchers, teachers, whatever, that were out there that wanted to get their enhanced concealed carry permit, that's what I did that class out there for them as well, and they actually wrote it into their school, into their bylaws, and it was approved by the school board. Essentially the same thing that you're doing right now, because Idaho has that blanket law, but it can be approved by the school board. But there is, you have to have the enhanced permit to be able to carry into their school. But it's a real neat situation out there. But they're 20, 30 minutes away from help or anyone even arriving.
Oh, sure.
And they have, not that they've got a big problem out there, but they want to be prepared, and they they have multiple hunters out there every year that get broke down or stuck, and they walk out, and the first place they go to is the school, because there's usually somebody there. It's a pretty local place, but they come walking up to it, and they don't want to leave their rifles in their broken down trucks out in the desert, and they come up, they approach the school, and they're packing their rifles or their shotguns or whatever it might be, and they wanted to be covered. And I think this is a great bill. It's a great idea, and if schools aren't going to get on board by themselves, then something like this needs to be in place. I think this is fantastic, and I know we've talked on Facebook Messenger a few times, and I was laughing a couple weeks ago. you mentioned, hey, we can do this interview right now, and I was actually at my kid's school at a school function. I was like, how ironic! I'm gonna talk to you about this bill, but I'm at the school, and it always bothers me to go there, and I don't have a firearm with me. I can't take one in there. And I've gone. My kids also went to school in Twin a couple of years ago, and I would go to this great, singing program that they did, and they do a salute to your veterans, thing, and they'd sing patriotic songs, and I always look over at my wife and said, well, I don't know how patriotic and how for the Constitution they can be, because they make me check my Second Amendment at the front door.
Right.
It's you got as much as it means. I mean, you got all my support, and I know everyone listens to the podcast is all for it as well. I mean, this is a good thing. I really hope it gains traction. I mean, and I know it's hard to guess what's going to happen. I mean, some bills you introduce and they gain a little bit of traction, but they don't go through, and then they're reintroduced, like the next year where they've gained more, and then they finally make it. What's your outlook for this one? I mean, or do you even?
Well, I think in the House side I have the support for sure. I think I've got some key players. I get Jason Monks, Brent Crane, Judy Boyle. And I think Chairman Harris, Steve Harris, is elected too. He's actually trying to help me fix some things and get it back in. So I think he's pretty excited about it. So that's positive. So I think the traction is, I think it'll pass the House. So I went and met with Senator Patty Ann Lodge last Thursday, and she's pretty pro-gun. She's pretty much on board. Her only concern was that she wants people to check in when they come into the school, and see if they have a firearm or not. I'm like, it's hard for me to.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, right. I said, I understand her concern that, and she made the argument, well, anybody can come in here with a gun then. I'm like, they can now. These permits don't stop any bad guy from walking into a school with a gun. These permits only, you and I, law-abiding citizens, are going to respect these permits,
right, and
follow the law. The bad guy that wants to come and do harm upon a teacher, students, or the whole school, the school as a whole, they're going to care about a permit or checking in.
Yeah, signs don't stop them. Locked doors don't stop them. I mean, we've seen it all. I mean, right. they shoot out windows, break out windows, and if they can't get into school, they could very well just sit in the parking lot and wait. I mean, it's all you're doing is this is my take on this. This has always been kind of my saying is gun-free zones. All they are federally mandated killing fields. That's all they are.
Well, absolutely.
I mean, that's 100% what they are. Yeah.
All right, absolutely. And my first argument with people, I tell them up front, the goal of this bill is to get rid of the gun-free soft targets. That the would-be shooter would be, teach that would-be shooter to go in there and think, okay, there's no guns here. It's a free-for-all for me. So if this law gets put in effect, that would-be shooter, terrorist, whatever, will think twice about going into school, thinking, okay, a principal or a teacher could be armed, I might get shot. Of course it's going to deter.
Oh yeah,
these scumbags.
Well, they're not going to go somewhere where they know that they might have a actual fight on their hands. I mean, you don't ever hear, and this is just cliche too. You hear it all the time, but you don't see them going into gun stores and doing this. You don't see them going to NRA banquets and doing this. You don't see them going to gun shows and doing this. I mean, and why is that? Because there's a chance somebody's carrying a gun there. I went to a wildlife dinner last night. Nothing like that happened there. I guarantee you over half those people were probably carrying. I know I was. And,
sure.
That kind of stuff doesn't happen, by the way. That was Ted Nugent showed up to speak, and you missed out if you weren't there. That was phenomenal. Nice. But nice. No, I appreciate that you're spearheading this bill. This is the kind of bill we need. I mean, there's lots of stuff, according, in accordance with the Second Amendment, that needs to be looked at and fixed, and lots of stuff I'd like to see done here in the state of Idaho. But this one's on the top of my list. I think it's fantastic, and I honestly think that it works out perfect with the enhanced concealed carry permit, because you're actually the people, there's an 8-hour class attached to that. They have to go and they have to shoot. They have to demonstrate that they're safe. They have to learn the Idaho
Right.
lethal force laws. They learn. They don't just. And granted, it is a constitutional right, but they don't just to get that permit, they have to do all that stuff, and they can't just take a firearm, throw it in the waistband of their pants and carry it into town. And at least if they're going to be somewhere where there's kids and it might be more of a sensitive area, they're going to have at least some training.
Right.
And it's better than none. So, anything else on that, Bill? I mean, you kind of answered all my questions before I got to them. I think it's fantastic, and I'm going to follow it like crazy. And hopefully the few people that listen to my podcast can help you out, and encourage everyone as well. Like I said, we're still pretty new, but we're kind of getting rolling here.
Nice. Yeah, have them just write their senator and representative and encourage them to vote yes. I mean, that's why the biggest key is
Definitely
getting all of your representatives and senators and making sure they know what you want.
Yeah, and I think I've got that list of how people can contact them, and I'll stick them in the show notes, and I'll make them available on my Facebook page and all that stuff. I have no problem doing that. I mean, there's too many people that want too many things done, but their voice isn't heard. They don't do anything but sit on the couch or scroll Facebook, and they don't do anything about it. I mean, it's true.
Right.
I'm guilty. I think we're all guilty a little bit to a certain extent at one point or another. They got to get out there and they got to get their voice heard by all means.
Sure.
Real quick, if you got a few more minutes, can you explain that? I didn't read, I'll be honest with you, I didn't read into it very much, but that, what's that? I saw something about Marcy's Law and like backdoor gun control. I mean, what is that? Or do you know anything about that?
Well, Marcy's Law, I mean, I've been on the fence for a while with it because I just didn't want to make a decision without knowing the ins and outs, and I kept hearing what's good about it from some perspectives and others that weren't good. So just reading the law on its own, it talks about victims' rights before there's a conviction.
Gotcha.
So to me, just and I'm an ex-law enforcement, and I understand that the prosecutors do and law enforcement do. But I'm sorry, there's a bias there that's kind of skewed because they look at all these cases, most cases they view are the accused is guilty. That's how they view it. And that's not the case. And this is America. We were founded on I'm going to Bill of Rights and due process, and to call somebody a victim and give them certain and put them in a certain class and give them these rights before the accused is actually convicted. To me, that's a violation of due process, because you have to prove that person's a victim. Still prove that a person's a victim. Perpetrated by that accused.
Right.
Okay, to say, okay, that he accused. For example, my friend accused me of stealing his truck. So because he accused me, and lost his law, he becomes a victim and gets certain rights just because he accused me. That's not how our system should work.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
For that aspect, I have a real problem with in that aspect. On the other aspect is this gives the judge what it says in there. It says that the judge will have can put reasonable protections on the victim. So it's so open-ended that the big worry is, well, it's already happened in Idaho. While someone's on trial for an accused crime, what he alleged crime, a judge has pulled that person's firearms away from him. He's confiscated the firearms because he's accused of violent crime. Okay, but you're still innocent until proven guilty in this country, and whether we like it or not, he has the right to his firearms until he's proven guilty.
Right.
So this makes it even more solidified that these judges can do that. Okay, he's charged with, felony battery. So if you're charged with that, we can pull his firearms away. So that's how it should work.
Yeah, so it's almost like any excuse to get your firearms from me is what they're going to, that kind of thing. So it kind of reminds me, and this might be a far stretch, and it's just how my brain works. And it's not necessarily you being accused of a crime, but it's kind of like these red flag laws that we see popping up everywhere.
Right.
Go ahead.
It doesn't say that, actually, it doesn't say that, in the code or in the proposed amendment, it doesn't say that, it doesn't list firearms. It's so vague that it allows that judge to do whatever he wants, pretty much.
Yeah, it's vague. It's vague for a reason.
Right, exactly. And like I said, it's already happened in Idaho without this Marshall's law. Judges have taken away firearms, before the person's convicted,
mm-hmm.
which is wrong. And, I'm sure there's some people that are guilty, and I'm sorry, there's still due process, innocent until proven guilty, whether they like it or not. And plenty of people are accused falsely as well. Half of the rapes that are accused, that are reported are actually false.
Right.
Plus the high number of actual ones don't go reported. But rape is such a huge weapon for women to use against the man that they're mad at.
Oh yeah, no, it's an easy one.
Right. I've had cases where I worked on just recently as a private investigator. That I just proved she was mad at this guy and tried rape and used it against him, and it ruins the guy's life just because she accused him.
Oh yeah.
And so of course, there are those cases where rape actually happened. I'm not trying to diminish that at all, but cases like this, here's this guy that is falsely accused of rape, ruins his life because he's been charged with it, and it stays on his record. Plus, he's lost his guns, and wife in the process is going through trial because the judge has ordered it unconstitutionally. But now this Marshall's law just helps that even more to be solidified, so they can do it, without any kind of resistance.
Yeah, and you can look at it as if there was a guy, you went down and used these as an example, but if there's a guy that was falsely accused of rape, falsely accused of rape, he didn't really commit it, but he was going through the process. He lost his wife, his family. They take his firearms because of this Marcy's law or whatever it is. They take all this stuff from him, and then maybe the woman who falsely accused him has family members or brothers or whatever. They get upset with him and they come after this guy. He can't even defend himself now, and he's not even guilty to begin with.
Right.
It just sure. It could just spiral out of control. So that'll be an interesting one to watch, and I'll definitely look into that one some more. I just kind of saw it pop up, I guess, this week, and so are you still there?
Yeah, I saw that there.
No problem. It happens. But I'll keep a eye on that Marcy's law and kind of read more into it and check it all out. One more question: have you seen anything? Actually, I got couple more. But have you seen anything on the red flag laws or anything like that popping up in Idaho? I know we've seen stuff like that pop up in other states around us. Have you seen like that?
Yeah,
any signs?
I haven't yet in Idaho. I've heard of some Republicans of Utah doing it,
right.
So it's close to home.
Oh yeah.
But other than Marshall's law, which, like I said, it doesn't directly label firearms, but like I said, it leaves that dangerous hole in the Constitution. But and that's one thing too. Why are we made in the Constitution to put us into it? Why don't they try to do it through statute?
Right.
What's the big push to do the constitutional amendment? And that scares me. And also what scares me about the Marshall's law is this guy has outside money from California. He's a billionaire, and he's also been indicted for drug trafficking.
Oh, great.
Who is this guy? What is his agenda? And other states have had it in their constitution. They've tried to get rid of it because what happens is it's a card up the system. For example, if you have a car accident and you can't get hold of the victim, then it clogs up the system, and you can't get things processed. And one other thing that also violates due process is, for example, if you're arrested and you're sitting in jail, and you give them a bond amount, what they have to do is contact that victim, well, so-called victim, the alleged victim, contact that alleged victim, and make sure they get hold of them. And so that person can't get out of jail or bond out until that so-called victim is notified.
Oh, wow.
Which is also a violation of due process,
Right. Lots going on. I'm glad we got good people like you up there keeping an eye out for us and fighting the good fight. That's for darn sure, and we'll definitely help out and get people to call their representatives and make phone calls and make as much noise as they can. Anything you want to add, or?
No, just advice to be vigilant and watch what's going on, and the things happen so fast in legislative sessions that these rules people don't know about. These rules are the same as laws, in my opinion, because rules can be passed under the law, but rules only have to go through the committees. So be vigilant on rules too, because rules can be just as detrimental to our freedom as the actual law.
Right. Gotcha.
So pay attention and to what's going on. Be vigilant. Get hold of your representatives and senators, and tell them, hey, I don't like this bill or this rule. Don't pass it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Last Thursday, we had a good bill brought before the House by House Majority Leader Mike Moyle. And what happens is, these Idaho agencies, which are part of the executive branch, when we're out of session, they'll submit a rule to the chairman, and he'll just stick it, let it sit for so long, and because it just sits for so long, it becomes rule, which is wrong. Because it doesn't pass, it's law, they have to go through the legislative body to be passed. Well, they're bypassing the Idaho legislature, and it's put into a rule without it going through us.
The back door.
So, right, the back door, exactly. Through these, so these agencies are actually a fourth branch of government in a sense. Well, we passed that for it to be stopped. It was, the Democrats voted against it, and so did two Republicans, Fed Wood and Lance Clow. But Fed Wood is the chairman of Health and Welfare. If that says anything. Lance Clow is also the chairman of Education. So
okay.
That's up to you to decide why they voted no.
Right. No, I got it. So one more question for you. I mean, you're doing the Second Amendment, bills and that kind of stuff. So you got to fill in. Everyone wants to know what is it that you carry. We need to know what kind of gun, what caliber, all the good info, all the important stuff.
Well, I carry my SMP 45 at the Capitol.
Cool.
I carry that with a total of 45 rounds.
Nice.
So I have, of course, a magazine in my MSR. I have two other magazines on, in the magazine holder. So I'm, partially ready for, something that could, potentially happen in the Capitol. And I told ISP officers at the Capitol, hey, my background's military law enforcement. If I hear some shooting going on, I'm going to run towards it. I'm sorry,
Right.
that's just who I am.
Sure.
I want to protect innocent people, and I've always been that way. That's why I joined the military and law enforcement, because I care about the innocent victims. And
Well, good. No, we always like to know. We talk about it constantly. What everyone likes to carry. Personally, I like the 9mm. So I carry an HK VP9 if you're interested. That's what I do. I don't know.
Nice.
I love the 9mm. So whatever works for me, whatever works for you. But until then,
the 9mm. Yeah.
I love the 9. I like carrying more rounds. That's my big deal. So
Right.
I tell you what, we will definitely keep an eye on everything, help you out as much as we can, and if it took us a while to get together this time. Your schedule, my schedule. I have a weird schedule. I go to bed early and I get up at like 2:00 and go to work. So,
oh wow.
But I tell you what, we'll keep an eye on this, especially the school carry bill. And if we see anything, interesting happen with it, I may may holler at you and see if we can get you back on again for just even a quick update. I mean, I know you're real busy, and if it ever comes down to it, you say, hey, I'm just too busy, obviously let me know. But we'd love to hear more about it if, we make some more headway or see something interesting happen. So.
Yeah, sounds good.
I appreciate it, and I'll go ahead and I will probably. Thanks for coming on, by the way. I will probably in the next day or two get this all edited out, and if you're interested, I'll go ahead and I'll shoot you a link to the podcast. It'll pretty much just be this interview, and you can listen to it. Or I'm not going to change it anyway. I'll just edit out any of the fuzzy spots or the spot where we dropped your call, that kind of thing. And then you can post it, do whatever you want with it, but it'll be either a Spotify or like an iTunes link or something like that. But I'll shoot it your way.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, drive careful, and thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, bye.